So I'm on the set of a photo shoot today for my book, and I wanted to tell you a corny joke because I have on all this glamorous hair and makeup, thanks to Cole and Darius, and Sienna on camera work. Got a corny joke. Want to hear it? Here it go. So, what happens when a snowman throws a tantrum? He has a meltdown. Y'all know that's funny.
It's a female version of a hustler.
Hey,
Of a hustler.
hey,
Of a hustler. Tina is a female version of a hustler.
Did Beyonce's mother just show support for Kanye West after everything that's happened between them? Because if you look at what started circulating online, it looks simple on the surface. But the deeper people dig, the more confusing it gets. A post tied to Tina Knowles Lawson allegedly appeared to highlight success related to Kanye West. And then, almost as quickly as it showed up, it disappeared. And that alone was enough to send the internet into full meltdown mode. But here's where things stop making sense. Because depending on who you ask, this was either a shocking public support moment or just a complete misunderstanding blown out of proportion. So what actually happened here? And why did it explode so fast? Because this isn't just about a post. It's about history, tension, and everything people thought they already knew. And once you see the full picture, it gets even stranger. It all began when screenshots started circulating online, claiming that Tina Knowles Lawson had interacted with or reshared content celebrating Kanye West's recent numbers and public success. The post being shared wasn't subtle either. It reportedly highlighted streaming performance, tour success, and major milestones tied to Kanye's recent releases. On the surface, it looked like a moment of acknowledgement, maybe even support, and that's exactly why it caught fire instantly. Because people weren't just seeing numbers, they were seeing who those numbers were attached to. Almost immediately, the screenshots spread across social media platforms, with fans zooming in, replaying, rechecking, and trying to confirm whether it was real or edited. But there was a problem. No one could find consistent evidence of the post still existing. And that's when everything shifted from interesting to what is going on? Because if it really happened, why wasn't it clearly visible anymore? And if it didn't, then where did it come from? Something wasn't adding up. And the internet noticed, but the situation was about to get even more complicated. To understand why this blew up so fast, you have to understand the history behind it. Because this isn't just about two random public figures. It involves long-standing tension connected to Beyonce, her family, and Kanye West's public history of controversial statements and unpredictable behavior. Over the years, Kanye has been involved in multiple public disputes, interviews, and online moments that created distance between him and several high-profile industry figures. So, when a post appeared, allegedly showing positive attention toward him, people didn't see it as neutral. They saw it as loaded. Fans immediately began pulling up old moments, old clips, and old headlines, trying to connect the dots in real time. And social media does what it always does. It turned confusion into a narrative. For some people, it was shocking. For others, it felt impossible, because in their eyes, these worlds were not supposed to overlap in this way at all. And that's when the conversation stopped being about a post and started becoming about loyalty, history, and hidden meaning. But there was still one major question nobody could answer yet. Did the post actually stay up long enough to be real? Once the screenshot spread, people didn't just react, they investigated. Users began searching through timelines, archives, and repost histories, trying to verify whether Tina Knowles Lawson had actually engaged with the content in question. And what they found only made things more confusing. Some claimed they could no longer locate any trace of the post. Others insisted it never existed in the first place. And a second theory started forming almost immediately, that the situation might have been misinterpreted. Or worse, a simple accidental interaction that spiraled out of control. But by that point, it didn't matter what the truth was anymore, because the story had already taken on a life of its own. And once that happens online, it becomes almost impossible to reverse. Every new comment added fuel. Every repost added weight. And every opinion made the situation feel more real than the evidence itself. But just when things seemed purely chaotic, another layer entered the conversation, and it changed the tone completely. One of the biggest reasons this situation stayed confusing is because of what wasn't there. No clear confirmation, no official statement, no consistent visible post history, just screenshots and reactions. That gap is exactly where speculation thrives. Some users suggested it could have been a mistaken engagement, something accidental, like a tap, a share, or an algorithm-driven action. Others believed the screenshots themselves may not represent the full context of what actually happened. And then there were people who thought it was simply a misunderstanding, amplified by timing. Because the truth is, when a public figure is involved, even the smallest digital action can turn into a global conversation in minutes. And in this case, the lack of clarity only made people more convinced something bigger was being hidden. But while everyone debated what Tina Knowles Lawson did or didn't do, another narrative started pulling attention away from the repost entirely, and it had everything to do with Kanye himself. As the situation spread, so did discussions about Kanye West's current performance in music and touring. Supporters began pointing out streaming numbers, viral moments, and commercial success tied to recent releases. Critics, however, questioned the timing of how those numbers were being highlighted in the conversation. And suddenly, what started as a social media confusion turned into something much bigger. Because now, it wasn't just about whether a repost happened, it was about what it meant if it did. Was it recognition? Was it accidental visibility? Or was it just internet noise attaching meaning where there wasn't any? And that's when the debate split into two completely different realities. In one version of the story, this was a harmless misunderstanding. In the other, it was a symbolic moment being misread or overanalyzed. But neither side could fully prove their point. And that uncertainty is exactly what kept the story alive. Because the internet doesn't need confirmation to continue a narrative, it only needs momentum. And this one had plenty. But what was driving that momentum wasn't just the post. It was how the internet itself processes moments like this. In today's online world, information doesn't move slowly anymore. It spreads instantly. And often without context, a single screenshot becomes a theory becomes a discussion, and a discussion becomes a trending topic before anyone has verified anything. That's exactly what happened here. People didn't just react to what they saw, they reacted to what they assumed it meant. And once assumptions enter the conversation, truth becomes harder to separate from interpretation. This is how digital narratives form around public figures like Tina Knowles Lawson, Beyoncé, and Kanye West. It's not just about actions, it's about history, perception, and timing all colliding at once. And in this case, all three collided perfectly. But even now, one final question remains unanswered. And it's the one that keeps this story from ending cleanly. So what actually happened? Was it a real repost that was deleted? Was it a misunderstanding amplified by screenshots? Or was it just another case of the internet filling in gaps that were never there to begin with? Right now, there's no clear answer, and that uncertainty is exactly why the story continues to circulate, because every angle leads to another question, and every explanation leaves something unresolved. What makes this situation even more interesting is that it doesn't rely on one single event. It relies on interpretation. And interpretation is where things always get complicated, especially when names like Beyoncé, Kanye West, and Tina Knowles Lawson are involved. Because once those worlds overlap, even accidentally, the internet doesn't just notice, it reacts. And sometimes, it reacts faster than the truth can even catch up. At the end of the day, this entire situation shows something bigger than a single post or screenshot. It shows how quickly narratives form online, and how difficult they are to stop once they start moving. Whether this was a mistake, a misunderstanding, or something completely ordinary that got overanalyzed, one thing is clear. The internet turned a moment of confusion into a global discussion. And maybe the real takeaway isn't about what was posted, but about how easily we believe what we see before we ever know the full story. Because in cases like this, the post is never really the story. The reaction is. Like and subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching full video. Like and comment on video. Love you guys. Stay tuned for such videos.